Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty serious show for you guys here today that we definitely want to get into, but please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, as y'all know, Giannis Antetokounmpo recently made headlines for his thought-provoking answer that he gave to a reporter who asked him if his season was a failure. And I'll get to that a little bit later. It was something that created a lot of conversation. Various people were weighing in on this all of yesterday, including ourselves here at the channel. That's the one reason he's been in the news. The other reason is because many are asking the question about the Milwaukee Bucks losing that first round series to the Miami Heat. They're asking, is that the biggest upset in NBA history? Now, as y'all know, we live in the era of the greatest thing that ever happened was the greatest thing that just happened just now. This is something that Rob Parker says a lot on The Odd Couple, and I'm not sure, right? I remember the meltdown the Dallas Mavericks had, which was a 60-plus win team, to the Golden State Warriors that had Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson. I think Matt Barnes on that team, Steven Jackson, Baron Davis. That was a pretty huge upset. Huge upset in that first round series. I remember that one. That one really comes to mind. But anyway, people are arguing back and forth about this. Now, one of the major problem areas, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of many, is at the coaching position with Mike Budenholzer. This dude, man, he's terrible. He's terrible. He's a coach that seems very dogmatic, someone that's stuck in his ways, refuses to make adjustments, coaches with his ego, and basically they gave Jimmy Butler single coverage that entire series, and he roasted and toasted, man. There was even a video I saw out there of him trash talking Drew Holiday, where he basically was like, on your head, right? Many people were speculating, why didn't Giannis Antetokounmpo guard him? And that was a coaching decision. It was a coaching decision. So this morning I was doing some research and I came across an article from fadeawayworld.net here that was basically talking about the likelihood that Giannis Antetokounmpo may not re-sign with the Milwaukee Bucks this summer. But before we get into this article, this video is brought to you by sponsor Aura, who's also the official sponsor of the T-Wolves. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's a sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts, and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds, someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/dreamerspro. And when you try Aura, by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what I want to do is I want to read a little bit of what it had to say here. Basically, it says, while everything appears to be good, Brian Windhorst reveals that Giannis Antetokounmpo could decline to re-sign with the team this summer. They are facing a very difficult situation this summer, even if they won the title, because they have guys in their 30s who need to get paid, and they have Giannis who's in his 20s with a contract extension situation. I think it's unlikely that Giannis extends his contract this summer. He has 2 years left. With everything that's going on with this team, and considering that there's new ownership, that may be very difficult. The Bucks are headed into the repeater tax. This is what happens to teams that are contenders year after year. So everything on this team is about getting more. It's about to get more expensive. Plus, we have new rules coming in that is going to limit the way they can improve the roster going forward. They are a late stage contender with a superstar in his 20s, and there are teams in the league watching very closely to see what happens with the Bucks this summer. For me, I think the Milwaukee Bucks have a very good team. They have great defenders, Chris Middleton. You have, as of course they mentioned, Brook Lopez, who was one of the finalists or the top vote getters for Defensive Player of the Year. You have Giannis Antetokounmpo, who was a Defensive Player of the Year. You have Drew Holiday, who's one of the most talented on-ball defenders in the NBA. So these guys have a very stout defensive lineup. However, I think there are a few issues we need to kind of look at. Number one, we need to look at the Bucks coaching. I think if they had a different coach, they win that series. If they have a coach like Ty Lue, who's willing to make adjustments, they would probably win that series just with his ability to make in-game adjustments. The other thing worth looking at is Giannis needing to improve in one or two areas. I think one of those areas needs to be his free throw shooting. Giannis didn't have a very good last game, although he scored 38 points. He missed 13 free throws. He made 10 out of 23 free throws. That's not very good. So Giannis himself can improve. I think Giannis understands this. But I think the overall IQ of that team needs to improve because they have a very good roster. But they just really need to work on some things. Whether or not Giannis remains with this team for the future, I think he probably does. Giannis may, I could be wrong, but may be one of these guys that goes down as one of the guys that plays his entire career with one organization. I think that would work wonders for his reputation. The same way it worked wonders for Kobe, the same way it's working wonders for Stephen Curry. People love these type of guys. Same way with Dwayne Wade, although he left towards the tail end of his career, but he ultimately came back and retired with the Miami Heat. So I think they have a lot of good things in their favor, but I think if we're looking at some tweaks, I think the tweaks need to happen at the coaching position. That needs to happen. I think they need a different coach. And also I think Giannis can work on some things because you can always improve. You can always get better. And I think one of the areas Giannis needs to kind of hone in on and focus in on is his free throw shooting, because in the finals when he won the championship, I think he made like 17 out of 19 free throw attempts, which was incredible, right? Because that's one of his weaknesses. So for him to really ensure that he could be a late game player, I think that would be awesome. I think at the end of that game, a lot of the guys were running from that ball. So when you know you have the ability and the confidence to go to the free throw line, if they foul you and make free throws, I think you can really help your team. So that's something else to look to pay attention to. Now, I just wanted to quickly touch on something because I heard a lot of people kind of reacting to what Giannis had to say yesterday. A lot of people kind of weighed in. I think that a lot of people are looking at the question of whether or not this thing is a failure or not. I think they're looking at it in a very simplistic, myopic, and dare I say childish way. When people are saying, yes, it's black or white, you failed. No, it's a success or you failed. I think people are not thinking hard enough on this question of failure and success. People act like as if, well, if I do everything that I can, then therefore if I'm going to win, and therefore if it doesn't happen, it means I didn't do everything I can. BS. I call total BS on that. You see, one of the things no one mentioned yesterday that I want to mention quickly before we close here is the factor of luck. Luck plays a very big role in how successful one may be. Now, people that are probably not successful don't believe that. They'll be like, oh, no. It's my hard work. Yeah, whatever. There's such a thing as good fortune. Any business person, go watch on Bloomberg, any business person that has been successful will tell you that luck plays a role. Luck plays a role. Good fortune plays a role. Being at the right place at the right time, the right thing happens. I'll give you guys a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You look at someone like Bill Gates. Okay, you look at someone like Bill Gates. I think Bill Gates went to Harvard University. I think Steve Ballmer went to Harvard University. At that time in the world when guys were getting ready to make these computer software and hardware, there were a lot of people at that time that probably had that idea. But Bill Gates happened to be that age at that time in that school. Steve Ballmer was there. The other guys that were there, they could have been anywhere else in the United States and had that same idea, but they just so happened to find themselves there. Sometimes the ball bounces your way, sometimes it doesn't. Luck also plays a role, and it's something we cannot explain, and I think it's quite naive for people to act like as if that doesn't matter, like as if luck doesn't play a role. Any business person will tell you that luck is also a factor. It is. And I think for people to say, oh, well, it was just a failure and this and this and that, they don't understand the thing about good fortune. We can talk about a simple thing as health. Health. You look at the situation with the Clippers. Some people say it's cursed or whatever. Okay, then what about the guys that are not that don't get injured? What are they blessed? Like, what are we talking about here? So good fortune exists. And bad luck also exists. So for people to just sit there and try to make it some simplistic, I think these are people that are just trying to sound like, oh yeah, well, I'm one of those people that if I don't get what I want, it's because I failed. It sounds good when it comes out of your mouth. But in all practicality, that's really not how life works. Good fortune is a real thing. Whether you want to believe it or not, that's your bloody business. It does happen. So I think when people are answering that question, Giannis is trying to make excuses and this and this and this and this and this, to me is a bunch of nonsense. There are a lot of people that are in very, very great positions in life right now. Some of it just happens to be, they're smart and they worked hard. In some cases, they just know the right people. Being born into the right family. What control do you have over that? You have advantages that other people may not have. You may have connections that other people did not have. Oh, you thought that was your hard work? You thought that was your hard work that got you there? Yeah, right. So to me, I wanted to mention that yesterday because no one was factoring in the aspect of luck. No one. I'll give you guys a quick example before we close. Here on our channel, we were producing a lot of content, especially when we started to go into NBA content. And I think this was back in 2019. We produced content all year. Our channel was growing steadily. And then we produced 2 videos. With a channel with less than 1,000 subscribers, one video gets 40,000 views. The next video gets 40,000 views. We had produced literally hundreds of videos throughout the year. And those videos pop and they totally change the direction of our channel. Just those 2 videos. Now, is that, I worked hard and I figured it out? No, it was sheer luck. Those 2 videos just did well. We just so happen to have those 2 videos do well. And sometimes I think to myself, man, imagine if those videos didn't happen. What would the channel look like? What would it be like? And you can't really explain it, but it happens. So for people to just act like, I am who I am because I worked hard and all that, whatever. It sounds good and it makes people feel good. I think it has something to do with some type of macho, something like that. Like, it was me, I'm in control of my destiny. Yeah, right. There are a lot of things that could happen that you have absolutely zero control over. There have been people that are at the wrong place. I'll give you guys another example, and you guys tell me. One day, I remember I was a kid. My mom and my stepdad at the time, they wanted to go to Costco's. Hey, Costco's. They're like, no, you gotta go. I said, no, I'm not going. They got angry. They went up to Costco's. Guess what happened? They got into an accident. A car hit them from the back and bashed in the entire back. My mom ended up having some neck issues, back issues, same thing with my stepdad. Now imagine if I was sitting in the back of that car. Imagine if I sat in the back of that car. So what? That was my smartness that made me miss that up? Man, please stop. People need to stop acting like as if they're so powerful and have so much control over things that are happening. Please stop. In that moment, one would call that grace, or dare I say, good luck or good fortune. Because I could have easily gone with them and I would have a totally different life.